We left Volga behind. The endless expanses of Russia stretched before us now. The bridge dwellers had finally decided to believe that we were not demons, and let us pass. Anna was right. We invaded their world, and it's not up to us to destroy it, no matter how stupid it may seem. Electricity is a sin. Is that really worse than the lies we were told in the metro? About how the whole world was dead and there was nowhere to go? Everybody in the tunnels bought that convenient lie. Once we reach Yamantau, we will at least know if that lie was justified. Since so far, we haven't met any signs of enemy occupation.
Let's have some reading. Or actually, let's do some reading. Or do you have some reading? I have some reading here. Oh, first things first. Last episode, I think I didn't read my mission objectives, which may or may not have some sort of hint that there was actually a elevator to find. I'm not sure. Anyway, Moscow Winter Valk. I haven't read this either. Oh my god. Well, let's get to it. I think I read the winter part. I think so. Well, Valka has been completed, so after all those years in the underground, the air of the surface seemed incredibly fresh, intoxicating, but that was not the cause of the crew's euphoria. Our journey finally had a definite purpose provided by the transmission from the government bunker in the Urals. We spent 20 years thinking that neither the government nor military high command had survived, and it turned out they were still around. Where were they while we were eating each other alive in the metro? We had lots of questions to ask them once we reached Yamantau, if we ever would. The ruins of the country were under enemy control according to Miller, and we would have to fight through to our goal. A small team against the occupation armies. What chance did we have to succeed, to get some answers? Yet setting out on our recon mission, Anna and I did not ponder these questions. We just kept filling our lungs with that sweet fresh air, splashing about the spring puddles like children out for the first walk after a long sickness. Oh, I was afraid I was reading Valka. Whoops! When I docked the old and battered but still surprisingly watertight boat at the goal, it became apparent why our arrival terrified the locals. These fanatics are, for some reason, convinced that it was electricity that brought about mankind's demise, so they avoid any and all technology like the plague. On the other hand, they have a grain of reason in their belief, for technical progress did in fact enable our self-destruction. They didn't get me with their trap thanks to a little girl and her mother, who had been held by the fanatics in that murky and damp ruin for about a year. A year? Oh my. If the locals would do such things, was there any real hope that they'd be inclined to let us cross the bridge? I'm not sure. I did manage to help Katya and Nastya escape the church, but the reinforcements that had arrived to spring the trap on the dangerous heretic that I was saw me. I had no choice, but still I have no reason to be proud of my actions. I had hoped that here, on the surface, we would be able to live different lives. Back in the metro, people were constantly at each other's throats through lack of living space and even air. But why would they have to die here? Such a waste. There is one consolation, though. Now we have a reliable source of information on the fanatics, and we might be able to use the new information to cross the bridge while avoiding even heavier sacrifice, and we did manage to do that. Katya and Nastya didn't just tell us about the fanatics, but also about Crest, the traveling mechanic hated by the fanatics because of his trade. I think he's with us now. I'm not sure, but I think he is. It's their loss, really. They can go back to using flint tools for all we care, while we are lucky to have such a versatile handyman in our crew now. Well, yes, he's with us. While I was out looking for Crest, Anna managed to get into an adventure of her own. She fell down some cellar and hit her head, knocking herself out and breathing in some poisonous fumes from chemicals abandoned there. Who knows how many years ago. She seemed to have suffered no serious injury though. Didn't I read something about chemicals abandoned? I guess it didn't give any sort of time frame for it, though. Maybe. I was still mad at her father. His paranoia went way too far, making us all see enemy banners in every old rag. We've found no occupying forces in this backwater, even the chemicals in the cellar seemed to be wholly domestic. Luckily, they were long past their expiry date. Or so it seemed. Getting the rail car left by Crest in the abandoned loading terminal was not easy. Well, yes, it was not. The half-flooded building was where the... Half-flooded? I'd say completely flooded building was where the enormous catfish, one of the pillars of the local crazy parody of religion, made its lair. I must give the fanatics their due, though. They did turn the building into a veritable shrine, even though housed not just the catfish, but also hordes of human-like mutants, which were, of course, overjoyed to see me. They had a warm welcome party. The enormous mutated catfish the locals were terrified of did not stop us. I found it funny, though, that they would address their prayers to that fish. Could man make a god out of anything? Can the degenerates we've been fighting be even called men, though? At the end of the day, I had successfully exchanged some ammo for a railcar in great condition, more than capable of tugging the passenger carriage that had brought Katya to this accursed place one day back to the Aurora. I had to take some trash out first, though. Yeah, that's one way to put it. Wading through mud amongst the rusty railroad carriages and dead husks of abandoned buildings, I had for some reason expected to have left the bandits, along with Moscow's poisonous air, far, far back. Now I do of course understand that it was rather silly of me. There's no changing the human nature, and anarchy could only make the worst qualities of its present themselves. Beautiful is always unique, while the ugly is surprisingly uniform. These bandits, were they hardened criminals, or just people left desperate and robbed of most of their humanity by the war that had blown over them? Differed from their metro counterparts by clothes and names at most. Their actions, robbing, murdering and capturing innocent people to sell into slavery, were exactly the same. Was there some... Did the bandits have slaves? I can't remember anything from the metro. I have played 2033 and Last Light, but it was a long time ago. My opinion of the fanatics, notwithstanding only a complete and utter bastard, could have left them in the hands of the bandits. Naturally, the bandits would keep terrorizing the locals afterwards. They might even be torturing some new victims at this very moment, but at least I saved somebody, simply because I could not have done otherwise. It was pointless to even try to talk the fanatics into letting us cross the bridge. So our only option was to take the matter into our own hands and lower the movable section of the bridge, regardless of their opinion on that. The problem was we couldn't really get onto that bridge from the shore, so we had to use the last remaining path of entry, the river, where the fanatics could not expect us from. That path could only be rendered accessible with the help of a tugboat we would rent from the river traders. For us, the bridge was little more than an obstacle to cross, but for the fanatics it was a lot more. It was their safe haven from the terrible demons of electricity, their home, their temple and their fortress. No wonder they weren't exactly keen on letting just anyone through. That said, they proved powerless to enforce that conviction. Duke and I were able to slice right to the heart of their cult, which had definitely impressed Silentius. His savages had no chance of besting Sparta in open combat. There was no open combat, and he had the brain capacity to understand that. The savages would have not had a chance. Would be the right wording, I guess. I only killed 2 guys, I think. No. There were more. Before I found the damn elevator. Yeah, there were more. We left Volga behind. There we met people who had spent all these years living in the open and never heard about the war still going on or the conditions we had to tolerate living in the metro. When I received the signals from the survivors outside of Moscow for the first time, I thought the people of the surface would be different from us, would be free from fear and hopelessness. In the metro, we knew we were not living but merely passing time before death, so for some reason I expected the people who knew they had a proper tomorrow to be somehow wiser, more free and noble than us. I was wrong. They were just as miserable and lost as we were. Perhaps the problem was not the metro but us all along. If here on the surface we continue doing the same things we did underground, we might never get a chance to build a future. Well, how do you think you ended up in the metro? Would it be because people doing these things? A vast world stretches before us, and I am sure we will find what we are looking for if the occupying forces don't get us in the way. And spring. Oh yeah, it probably updates every time I get something done. So, spring is short. Because we have been here only a few minutes, sitting on the bed and stuff. We left Volga behind. The endless expanses of Russia stretch before us now. Didn't Volga end exactly the same? Where is it? Where is it? Was that so long? Did I just read all that? No. I think I started reading that already. The bridge dwellers had finally decided to believe that we were not demons and let us pass. And I was right. We invaded the... Oh, that's why it sounds so familiar. That was in the intro. Okay, so let's do something else. Crew. Well, we have our crew. New World. And it's Fanatics Exhibition. My home station, now a part of BDNKH. Commonwealth together with Alexeyevskaya and Richskaya. Living there has been an uneven ride, but I still have fond memories of my time, even though Anna, my wife, would disagree. She positively hated it there, having traded the position of the Order's best sniper for everyday chores of a regular mushroom farm. To me, she seems quite happy. Hansa. I'm not going to read that, at least right now. Can I can sneak by creatures to equipment. Nothing too interesting there, I don't think. Or here, for that matter. No, I think we're good. So, can I listen to radio?
Kenel, come in. Do you read me, Kenel? Morholt here. I'm in Gemendi. Over. Kenel, come in. Kenel, over. That's just great. Well, I'll try later.
Okay. Music station.
Why you guys kissing Menchikov's ass so much? How long has it been since he even arrived in Irkutsk? Not even 2 years.
You better reconsider your position on Meshnikov. Did you forget who started trading with the convicts from Zolotoy? Huh?
Well, that was Zakhar's idea. And Zakhar is the man. He crossed Baikal. Alone. We'd sign him to anything he proposes at once. While Menshikov, I couldn't care less about.
Aren't you getting too big in your head? You're so cool now that the relay gang is off your case? Don't fall off that high horse.
Go to hell, Dan. All right. I can live with listening to Menshikov if you're so fond of him.
Enough of that shit already. The important part is that Irkut is still around, and you guys are too.
You're right. That is the important part. Well, give my regards to Menshikov. Over and out.
You devil. Over and out.
Okay. What else? Another music station. Can I get it on the green? Just some more music. And more music. How do I get out of here? Oh, like so. Can I turn it off? No, well, let's have it making noise there. Okay, let's get on with it, if I somehow can. Oh, like so.
How long have we been on the road for? I've been listening to the radio too. And there was not a single transmission about any occupying force.
Yeah, there was
There's so much regular chatter.
Yeah.
So many stories.
just some
That
people.
says all those are coded transmissions, that they all have hidden meaning, but why would they be so secretive? Why aren't they using this railroad? Why don't they at least control its key junctions? Why did they not install any roadblocks? If they are even out here. This is the main transport artery, after all. Maybe they are not here at all. Maybe they never came here, or they are already gone. Though, where to? Remember? Neither Katya nor Crest have ever met them. Though we seem to be doing just fine even without them. It's like Middle Ages. That Silantius is treating people like slaves, getting them killed. I can't believe they had it worse without his lies, nonsense, and human sacrifices. And us? We had been living down there for so many years, fighting each other. And nobody even thought you could live outside.
And I thought you ran out of stories. We're gonna have this as a separate shit show and really continue in the next one.